far right, my man, all the way from Emmanuel, Barrack, with the 2 hours Muluka, journalist, publisher, political analyst. He's in the house, literally just landed, came straight to the studios. The man in the middle, they call him the Grand Mullah, senior counsel, and now, well, he's publisher of Nairobi Law Monthly, and now chairman of Al Noor Television. Wow, gentlemen, good to see you.
Same.
Nice to meet you. You know, the last time I sat on a bench, I had a door slammed in my face. But you know, they say every time a door shuts, a window opens.
Absolutely, and Ponge used to say sleeping is not falling.
No, I don't take a dig at where you were before, but I think Citizen is the real deal. This is a big league for you. I mean, that was a small league, and I'm glad that you have taken the right step.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, enough of that. Straight to the question about State of the Nation. That's the topic tonight, State of the Nation. Please, you can tweet us at Ahmednasir Law, at Barrack M, at Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya, hashtag Jeff Koinange Live. Barrack, you first. Who should be the NASA flag bearer or the NASA team combination, and why?
I suspect that NASA will require to breathe a breath of fresh air, or puff a breath of fresh air into the body politics, and that one would be expecting something a little more exciting. If you look at the duo of Kalonzo Musyoka and Musalia Mudavadi, there's something very interesting here, that since 1997, which is exactly 20 years ago, they have never been on the same side. See? 2002, they're on different sides. Davadi was in Kanu, Kalonzo Musyoka was in NAC. Then 2007, they started off together and went separate ways, just as they were getting to the most critical moment. And then, of course, we know about 2013. So I think they would represent a breath of fresh air, whoever becomes the flag bearer.
But you think, are those the two likely ones, most likely?
I don't know. You know, we've been hearing something about the most popular. And I think that we need to introduce a new notion, which would be the most acceptable. When you talk about the most popular, you'd usually be addressing yourself to a fairly limited environment and fraternity.
Grand Mullah, your thoughts?
No, I think there is quite, some myth and legend that's developing with regard to the NASA combination. But some of them need to be debunked. I mean, it doesn't mean that just because, a certain combination is nominated by NASA, they will win the election against Uhuru. In my view, only one candidate has a good chance of beating Uhuru.
Who's that?
I will not say it.
What do you mean?
But one or two candidates, even if they are nominated by NASA,
yes,
have absolutely no chance of winning.
So are you saying Raila is the one?
No, I'm saying they must get right in terms of who is their flag bearer, because if they nominate some of the candidates, if they nominate one or two of the four, that are already in the field, I mean, they will have no chance, in my view. They will have zero chance. Uhuru will be declared president probably even before we have elections.
The Grand Mullah is taking us around in circles.
Yes.
He should call a spade and say who it is. Because when he says one of the four, obviously it's going to be one of the four.
Yes, so but my view is really, I mean, only one or... let me add another one. Two have a good chance of beating Uhuru.
Which combination?
I mean, I don't know.
Raila and one other?
They're still evolving. But I can tell you one or two have no chance, so...
Give me those two have no chance. Go on.
Because there's this perception that, the moment in NASA, because it's a, it's a combination of it's a tribal combination, that whoever they nominate will have a good chance of beating Uhuru. That's a fallacy in my view. Some of the candidates have absolutely no chance, whether they are nominated or not.
Who?
I think we'll see in a month or two.
Who do we rule out? Wetangula?
That's your choice. It comes from you.
Barrack, help me out here. The Grand Mullah has refused to grow a backbone.
You see, I can't...
it's not a backbone, it's obvious,
I can't read his mind.
So name the two. Who?
I think the Kenyans, being intelligent, will know that certain candidates have no chance, whether they are nominated by NASA or not.
Go on.
In other words, there's a pedigree. I mean, you must nominate the best.
When he talks about pedigree, he clearly lets the cat out of the bag. Because when you talk about pedigree here, you are talking of Raila Odinga.
Yes.
Pedigree, because there are just two major political families in the country, and their pedigree political families, the Kenyatta family, the Odinga family. I think we just rest it there.
Yeah, so it's Raila plus one other. Is that what you're saying?
Perhaps, but there's an interesting part to the equation. Whichever way I look at it, Kalonzo Musyoka must make it onto that ticket.
What are Kalonzo's chances?
I don't know what his chances are, but there are geopolitical concerns that would make him to be part of that ticket. Because when you look at the other three, they all come from the Lake Basin. That leaves Kalonzo Musyoka as the only person from this end of the country. Therefore, he must be on the ticket either as the flag bearer or as a running mate. And then in a country where politics of tribe take center stage, obviously you cannot have Mudavadi and Wetangula. One of them has got to. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I don't think regions really matter. I mean, what matters?
They do.
They don't.
Hey.
Take it from me.
Grand Mullah. Since when?
What matters is the tribes, you know.
Yeah, but the tribes
the
from
tribe,
certain regions.
Whether it is, the Luya or the Luo or the Kampa, what matters is the tribes. It's not the region. I mean, the tribes may be dispersed geographically to certain different regions. But I agree with him. I mean, Kalonzo Musyoka he has what it takes to be either number one or number two. But I'm sure, there's a lot of things to consider. I mean, when they are selecting the number one and the number two candidates.
You heard today some Wiper leaders going to Deputy President William Ruto saying Kalonzo's being taken for a ride. Could he be taken for a ride? Could he be seeing it this way?
Whether he's being taken for a ride or not, those MPs I saw on TV this evening are not the right people really to advise. I mean, those are probably the candidates who have realized that it may be difficult for them to get direct nomination from NASA, and they can get from Jubilee, which doesn't matter really in Okampani. So what they said really was neither here nor there.
Barrack, if Kalonzo is not the flag bearer, if he's not in the combination, does he walk away?
I don't think he has anywhere to walk away to where? Down the cliff. He just has to
cross over to Jubilee,
hang in there for better,
and become a minister,
better or worse.
Where is he now?
Now he has a chance of being either number one or number two. I mean, I agree with him. Walking away is not an option for these four guys. They have no option but to remain there. If they get number one, fine. If he gets number two, fine. If he becomes number three, then you find for him a relevant tag after the election, okay? If he same for number four.
One more. Okay, go on.
If they stay together, they have a fighting chance. Against Uhuru and Jubilee.
But chances are one of them will leave this NASA coalition. One of them will leave. They'll feel spited.
I don't know. I don't know about that. What I know is that we are assuming that everything remains constant. Everything remains equal. And within that context of everything remaining equal, someone walks away. Because there could be other dynamics. We are seeing certain rumblings within the Rift Valley. We don't know where they are going to be.
I'm going to get to that in a moment. One last question on NASA. What if Raila does what he did in 2002 and he says either Madividi Tosha or Kalonzo Tosha and he takes a back seat? Is that possible, Barrack?
Of course, if he has previously said somebody Tosha, it means that he has got that track record, and therefore he is quite capable of saying somebody Tosha. Once again, each one of these people has in fact at some point or the other said somebody Tosha. Mudavadi said Uhuru Tosha, Kalonzo said Raila Odinga Tosha, Raila said Kibaki Tosha. So quite contrary to what I sometimes heard, that who is going to step down for Wetangula said Odinga Tosha. So all of them have got that track record.
Let's switch gears. Let's go to Jubilee now. Grand Mullah.
First, can I answer? I mean, I don't think there's any chance of Raila saying another person Tosha.
You don't think so?
I know. He has said it once, he can't say it again. once in a lifetime is fine, not twice.
So you're confirming that Raila is a flag bearer?
Once in the Grand Mullah's lifetime, not once in Raila Odinga's lifetime. We must remember whose lifetime we are talking about. Raila Odinga is a very politically savvy individual, and he'll be weighing things on the scales of politics and probability. If it should occur to him that perhaps the best way to dislodge Jubilee is to say someone else Tosha, I don't see him messing up that opportunity.
But also we have to understand that the last time when he said Tosha, it was against Uhuru, and because Uhuru was the candidate on the other side.
Yes.
And I don't think, I don't think he will say Tosha this time.
Against Uhuru.
It won't be his perpetual business to bring the bride every time for a suitable groom. He has said it once. I think this time probably he will not say Tosha.
Okay, let's switch to Jubilee. There seems to be a rift, pardon the pun, in Jubilee. What would you think? Gideon Moi is being now coaxed in. He's supporting only Uhuru Kenyatta. He's not supporting Deputy President William Ruto. He's just supporting the president, or Kanu is. Is there a rift in Jubilee? All doesn't seem all that rosy, Barrack?
No, all these political outfits have got certain features, certain little hairlines. It's not as if everything is very compact. And politicians are always weighing opportunities. They are always juggling political marbles and seeing what would be best. And what's happening in Jubilee now, we should remember that Jubilee is a reincarnation of Kanu. It's Kanu under a different guise. And President Moi did tell Raila Odinga and his NDP fraternity in the year 2001 that Kanu iko na wenyewe. And you see, William Ruto has been there and is still there, kind of in a holding capacity, because he's not one of the wenyewe.
And he feels that way.
Yes, indeed.
And he's insecure that way.
Indeed.
And that's why he doesn't like Gideon. There's no love lost, rather. There's no love lost.
There's never been any love, and so there's no love lost. You could even say that William Ruto was this outsider who usurped this opportunity, and the owners want it back.
Grandmula.
I said it from day one. If you look at the columns I used to write for the Nation, and I'm saying it 5 years down the road. The biggest mistake Uhuru made in terms of his political calculation was his inability to see alliances beyond Ruto's, what was it called? That URP. And that, haunts him today. Because during the last 4 years, Uhuru, either deliberately or due to lack of political foresight, refused to see that he will need other parties or coalition. And he was obsessively loyal to URP, and it's rather late in the day that he realized probably he needs someone like Kanu or he needs someone like other parties. But it's a little bit late. I think he has made his bet with URP. Whether it is good or not, he should remain with URP for the time being, because that's a choice he made from day number one.
Right.
But in my view, Kanu and Gideon, my view, are not consequential in Rift Valley, despite the noise you hear. The only consequential party, in my view, is URB of what you call the Rift Valley without URP.
Which is what? The Isaac Ruto faction? Or?
We should make a distinction between substance and noise. There's a lot of rallies everywhere. There's a lot of noise. But in terms of substance, I don't think the ground has really moved in Rift Valley from William Ruto.
Is he still the king of the Rift?
He's the king. There may be a lot of noise where he rules, but he's the king of the Rift Valley.
Barrack.
I think the Rift Valley has got some very critical principalities, and you cannot ignore people like Isaac Ruto. You saw that even when there was a little by-election in one of the wards in the South Rift, that it was lost. Jubilee lost it to Chama cha Mashinani. That Kericho was a headache, and there's cause to believe that there could have been some sleight of hand in the Kericho gubernatorial by-election. And beyond that, I think we need to look at the 2022 succession issues. It's not as simple as my good friend, the Grand Mullah, is trying to make it sound, because people are asking, so what after this election in 2017? There were issues that brought Uhuru Kenyatta and William Ruto together. Now those issues have never been resolved. They have only gone into hibernation. And as we gravitate towards the 8th of August and beyond, we're starting to ask the question, have those issues rested? Are they going to rear their head again? And how do we deal with these things? Like it or not, there are people within Jubilee who would like to see William Ruto politically neutralized completely. And if they could find an alternative, they would embrace it.
No, I think for me the weakness in Jubilee as they approach the election in August is not because there is some simmering issues in Rift Valley, or there is or Raila draws crowds in Meru when he goes. For me, that's not a factor. I will give them the same votes they got last time. For me, the biggest mistake Jubilee made from the election of last time in 2013 is that what have they added to their basket?
Yeah.
Which other region have they gone and won over? And the answer is zero. They have not gone anywhere in the country where they have won. I mean, they have not won, for example, votes in Coast. They have not won in Kisii. They have not gone to Eastern. They have, I mean, the only region that they are dominant is, Central Kenya and Rift Valley. And I can tell you that they have even lost other votes they had last time. And that is where they will have problems with.
But Jubilee recently, you saw the push. They were in Coast, they were in Kisii, they were in opposition heartland.
That's the noise I was talking of.
How many times has Ruto gone out there?
That's the noise. You can go, organize rallies, send 1 million or 2 million to the local population, and make some sound and fury, but that does not translate into votes.
Barrack, tell me, why hasn't Jubilee been successful making inroads in the Coast, in places like Kisii? Yet, and the Coast, what do? They give out titles, left, right, and center, and yet they haven't even dented.
I think first they will get some votes. They may not win seats, but they will get some votes, and perhaps they are not even thinking about winning seats. They're just thinking about improving the presidential tally, and to that extent I think there's going to be something for them. But their basic problem is that they have failed, and failed thoroughly, the test of nationhood. When at independence the founders of this country were talking about building the nation, they were not talking about physical infrastructure, macroeconomics, microeconomics, and things like those. They're basically talking about the bringing of the people of this country together, enhancing that feeling of Kenyanness, what Professor Bethuel Ogot has called Project Kenya. And their engagement with Project Kenya has scored very, very, very poorly. I've said before on the bench that they have embraced the notion of a political duopoly, and the chickens are coming home to roost.
Having said that, Barrack, could Jubilee lose the presidential election? Could Uhuru Kenyatta be a one-term president?
It's rather early in the day to say anything definitive, because the marbles are still rolling. We don't know where they are going to settle. We don't know. We can only assume that everything is going to remain where it is, that President Kenyatta is going to remain with William Ruto, and that as the Grand Mullah says, the people of the Rift Valley will vote the same way that they voted. But remember that when we talk about the Jubilee victory in 2013, that it was by a margin of about 88,000 votes.
Yeah.
You just need to destabilize that a little bit, and things could turn out.
No, I mean that question has a simple answer. There is a distinct possibility that Uhuru may be a one-term, because as Muluka rightly said, Uhuru got 50% plus 7,000 votes. And if you disturb just some of the dynamics, some of the set in that factual matrix, I mean, there's a good possibility that he may lose the election. And how will he lose the election? 50% plus 7 minus what he failed to do last time. What he has failed to do, I mean, the last 5 years. I mean, there are a lot of issues he has failed to do. Whether you call it a project, you know, Kenya,
yes,
or, you know, whether some people are disgruntled more. I mean, for example, last time he got 94% almost in Central and in Rift Valley. If he gets 90% or if he gets 85%, he's out of office. And it's also there are a lot of dynamics that are working against him, that worked for him last time. Last time he was, you know, a fresh guy, young guy in his early 50s, made so many promises. Kenyans will say now that, I mean, Uhuru, we have seen you. You have been in power 5 years. We can now make a better judgment. You can't make the promises you made. We will judge you according to the record you have. So that's a difficult issue.
Yeah. But he will argue, and Jubilee will argue, they have that development record. They have brought A, B, C. They keep talking about it everywhere they go.
Let me tell you something. When Kibaki was running last time, the narrative, you know, or the slogan that he sold very easily was Kazi Endele. What will Jubilee say? Tuko pamoja? Many people will say, no, we are not together. I mean, when they say tuko pamoja, there is a quick answer to that. But when Kibaki said, you know, Kazi Endele, it was difficult to really dispute that.
Okay.
Because there was certain Kazi that was in the process at that point in time.
Barrack, what different would NASA provide?
That is what we are waiting for NASA to tell us. We know about Jubilee, we know about their weaknesses. They have been very good at speaking very long on words and very little on delivery. I have heard them talk about certain things which they say they have done, and I have not seen them. Like when I'm told that they have carpeted 10,000.
I think the goal is 10,000. They've done 6,000 and change so far.
Which I haven't seen. I don't know where it is.
They're not in the Manuria?
No, I've just come from there. I have not seen those roads.
Okay, Barrack, would you say the biggest Achilles heel to this government has been corruption? Is it obvious? Is that the one?
No, before we go that, I mean, let's answer the question you posed. I mean, what will NASA, you know, bring on the table?
Yes.
And that is also the difficult with Kenyan politics. We know Jubilee and its weaknesses, 5 years, what they have failed to do or what they have done. We know that. The problem is, we don't want, you know, NASA to promise us heaven, because we know them. I mean, these are not new guys. I mean, these are guys who are in government. I mean, between Raila, Kalonzo Musyoka, and Musalia Mudavadi, they have been in the cabinet, I think, if you add them together, maybe 70 years.
Yeah.
Yes. So that they're quintessential politicians, you know, the status quo. But I think, I mean, if they say they will improve maybe one or two things, we can take it with some hope. But let's be realistic.
Yeah.
These are guys who have been here. We know their track record. They can't promise, you know, they can't make outlandish promise that someone like Dida can make who has not been in government.
Barrack, there's Peter Oponda, there's a clip that you queued up earlier on where you're talking about these folks being in government for many years. There's a clip that's been making the rounds. I think it's gone viral. We'll get that to you in a moment, but it just talks about what you just said. You know, there's no such thing as political enemies here, and these people know each other left, right, and center. Barrack, you were saying?
You see, first, I think we forget. You know, these people were all together. At one point, we are just talking about ODM in 2005.
And they were all originally in Kanu.
Raila Odinga was in ODM, Musalia Mudavadi was in ODM, Kalonzo Musyoka, ODM, William Ruto, ODM, Uhuru Kenyatta, ODM. And they promised us heaven when they were in ODM before they started going different directions in 2006.
Yeah.
The first one to decamp was, of course, Uhuru Kenyatta. Afterwards, Kalonzo Musyoka also decamped. And so there's a sense in which they are just two different sides of the same coin. And so I would agree with him that I wouldn't expect a lot. And yet if NASA does not give us some promises that we can believe in, if they do not paint pictures of glorious times to come, their chances also start becoming like the chance of the snowball in hell.
But Grand Mullah, when you read David D's articles, and he's a senior advisor to NASA, I think a couple of articles ago he said any government, any, is better than Jubilee. Is that true?
No, you see, people accuse Jubilee of a lot of things like corruption, a lot of other things, which I'm sure we'll go into. But I think one of the main failures which NASA probably will improve is this government has just simply been incompetent. I mean, this is a case of this government failing to run the way, you know,
how so?
For example,
give me an example.
I mean, we haven't felt this government. I mean,
well, we have felt it.
No, we we haven't. I mean,
we have felt it. No. When the price of maize flour, at the time they were taking over, was 80 bob. And now it is gravitating anywhere between 130, 150. I was in Kisumu this morning. 150. You go to the supermarket. We are feeling them, but we are feeling them negatively. We are feeling them when we see some lady somewhere saying that she carried money away in sacks. We are feeling them when hunger bites, when there's insecurity all over the place. And when we talk about insecurity, you have got to look at what was happening in Eldoret today, what is happening in Baringo. There's a sense in which we are feeling them, but we are feeling them negatively. So those are issues which...
The point I wanted to make, Muluka, is that compared to Kibaki, I mean, Kibaki, when he took over power, tried to create institutions that are functioning, whether it is the judiciary, whether it is the other arms of government. And when these guys came to power, I mean, they did a reversal of that in terms of fighting independent constitutional offices, whether it is the Auditor General, whether it is, you know, the judiciary. And there was a concentration of powers, you know, in the executive. And that's what I meant by that. You know, there was a gradual erosion of other arms.
But tell me something. Okay, so Barrack talks about a lot of the negatives. Anything positive coming out of Jubilee the last 4 years?
Of course, there's a lot of. I mean, the First Lady, for example, in terms of the maternity program she has rolled, and people don't give her credit, but I mean that's huge. They have done. There's always some figures, you know, although we don't feel it in our pockets, or Kenyans don't feel. But you know, the World Bank and IMF always say that the economy has grown 6 or 7%. Those are achievements. The image of the country, you know, in terms of international, I mean, it's no longer a pariah state. I mean, Uhuru has done a lot of foreign trips, maybe a little bit expensive on the taxpayer, but in terms of, you know, Kenya has pulled, you know, its weight. There are achievements, but you know, when you have failures, look at the failures. Even the irrigation scheme in Tana River has collapsed. I mean, they have so many failures. I don't know, there's some bad luck.
And Barrack?
They have tried to revive Mumias. They have also tried, and I choose my words very deliberately, they have also tried to revive pan paper. I think they are making some effort to elevate the famine problems in the most drought-hit parts of the country. They have done something about connectivity of electricity, power. I would have been happier if they had expanded the national power grid, because what we have seen is what in scholarship we would call salami slicing, that the little that is there we have sliced it.
Did you just say salami slicing in front of a Muslim here?
I'm sorry, but that's what they have done.
I get the metaphor.
But even in scholarship, we tell people not to do salami slicing. Yeah.
Okay, let me ask you this real quick. A poll recently that said a lot of Kenyans are dissatisfied with the way the country is going, but they would prefer to give Jubilee a second chance. Comment.
I mean, you see the poll is by Dr. Wolf?
No.
Because if it is that, you know, we have to take with a certain pinch of salt.
Three independent polls.
It's all the three of them.
Or 3 independent polls commissioned by Citizen.
Yes. There have been 3, but you go first.
You see, I have no problem with giving someone a second chance, but I want a decision that's made rational. Uhuru may deserve a second chance, but I want people to judge him rationally. I mean, what has he done? He has done X, Y, Z. What has he failed to do? He has failed to do ABC. What is the alternative? Raila or Kalonzo, whoever is the... Then will you make a rational decision? By the way, only 20% or 30% of Kenyans make that rational decision. 70 to 80% of Kenyans vote on tribal basis.
Absolutely.
So what we are, that probably that opinion poll, I mean, that's, we have to appreciate within that context.
Barrack.
It's called the Stockholm syndrome, that the citizens are held captive by this government, that they are hungry, that there's all this corruption that you're talking about, that there are so many other negatives, but in the end, they don't matter. It was Frantz Fanon who said that the slave may not like slavery, but the slave loves the slave master. So the slave will go with the slave master once again. The Stockholm syndrome. There are those who, as the Grand Mullah says, will vote not because they are considering the reasons governments are constituted among men and women. If governments are constituted among men and women so that they protect things like life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, like the Americans would tell us, then I would give this government about 4 out of 10, if not slightly lower than that.
I don't think we should mention the Americans anyway in this conversation.
But no, we have to. They remain the yardstick.
Benchmark.
But
yes.
The issue is this, that in the end it's a question of ethnicity. And there are people who will be voting for NASA as well, not because they have had anything positive, but because of ethnicity.
Absolutely.
So until the day we learn that the country is big and that we have an interest. You know, the presidency in this country is like a trophy. The tribe is just happy that it has got that trophy, that there's nothing that's coming to you beyond the trophy.
Gentlemen, I want to take a quick break and then come back, talk about what you just talked about. I mean, there are other races. Let's break it down to some county levels. There's a big race in Kakamega, big race in Nairobi, big race in Mombasa.
Indeed.
Kirinyaga. Let's talk about that when we come back. Oh my goodness. Where's my fire extinguisher? Alright, I'll get back to it. Keep tweeting at Ahmednasir Law, at Barrack M, at Koinange Jeff, at Citizen TV Kenya. The topic is State of the Nation. The hashtag Jeff Koinange Live. I see tweets coming in very thick and very fast. We'll get to those when we come back. Also your SMSs. Keep sending your texts 22422. Jeff Koinange Live right here on Citizen Television takes a break. We'll be back in a moment.
United Paints. Yeah! Okay.
We have a wide variety of indoor and outdoor finishes for each individual needs and taste to choose from. United Paints, the spring of beauty.
Do you know what makes my cooking fun? It's having a partner who shares my passion for healthy cooking. Avena, the new premium vegetable cooking oil, contains omega-6 and 9 and is fortified with vitamins A and D. Lunch! Thanks, partner. New Avena premium vegetable cooking oil. Now available in all leading stores.
New Tosca Premium Cider. Crisp, delicious apples, crushed and blended to create a unique taste explosion.
Uganda
Rwanda has amazing beauty, natural wonders graced by the mighty River Nile, and vibrant history ingrained on the faces of her people. You cannot resist to fall in love with a pearl of Africa. You cannot resist to fall in love with a pearl of Africa.
There's a new key for accessing East Africa, the East African Tourist Visa. The East African Tourist Visa gives you all access to Rwanda, Uganda, and Kenya. It's all East Africa. Explore it.
We create. We are fire in our hearts. We are made of black.
United Paints. Yeah! Okay.
We have a wide variety of indoor and outdoor finishes for each individual needs and taste to choose from. United Paints, the spring of beauty.
And welcome back to Jeff Koinange live right here at Citizen Television, here with the Grand Mullah, Ahmednasir Abdullahi, and Barrack with the 2 hours Muluka. We're talking about the state of the nation. Gentlemen, before we go on, I'd like you to take a look at this clip. It was done, I think, 2002-ish, yeah? Listen to our politicians. Let's go to that clip.
Mtu ambaye alisimamia kabisa juu ya mambo ya wizi ya Goldenberg sio mwingine ila ni Salam Davadi na Nyayo mwenyewe. Wanajua hiyo. Mwaka hiyo wakati Profesa Saitoke alikuwa ameshatoka kwa Treasury. Mwaka wa 93 waziri wa fedha alikuwa anaitwa Salam Davadi. Hapa walilipa bilioni 5.8 wakabilipa bilioni 13.
And Musalia Mudavadi, solidly now in NASA, could be a flag bearer for all we know. But this just shows there's no such thing as political enemies, is there, Grand Mullah?
Maybe, I mean, this really, it means nothing. I mean, Raila was basically saying that during the time when certain payments were made in Goldenberg, Musalia Mudavadi was the minister, and that's a historic fact. But the point is, these guys have abused one another for so long. I mean, if you look at the clips, what Uhuru probably has said against Ruto, or Ruto what has said about Uhuru, I mean, these guys, the last 20 years, they have said all kind of crazy things about one another. But they always sit down and say that at this point in time, what's our interest? Let's come together. So, for me, a politician in Kenya saying bad things or good things about another politician means nothing.
Doesn't surprise you.
It's just an expression of his opinion at a given point in time, and you cannot hold him. You cannot hold against him for a view he expressed in another context. You know, once upon a time.
To me, you sound like those politicians who see a clip of themselves and they say, "I was misquoted by the media."
No. Me, whatever I say, you can always. I'm different. You can hold me. You can hold against me what I say, but these politicians don't hold them. I mean, these things means nothing.
Barrack.
You see, the bottom line really is about the citizen, and I've always said that the citizen is a zombie. It's been completely zombified. The next day, this person comes across and he receives him with open arms, and the same citizens will clap for him, and they'll go and vote whichever way they are told to vote, because we are voting automatons. Not so long ago, Chirao Mwakwere was telling Raila Odinga things about his nusu mkate. He was talking about his nusu carpet. He was even talking about nusu toilet, which he told him, we can even put it for you in the car. The other day, they were in Kwale, and Chirao Ali Mwakwere was being received with open arms. You go to Kisii, you find there is Professor Samongeri, who is now posturing. He wants to become a senator for Kisii, and he has been received with open arms in ODM.
So there's no guilt factor.
These people are like those. There are some animals which are very indisciplined in terms of some of how they recreate and procreate. They have been with each other everywhere, about anywhere, all the time, without any discipline, and you cannot even tell what they have produced or what name you should call it.
There's a word for that. There's a word for that. So
no, there's a political culture in this country, a custom which is accepted. It has evolved over the years, that whatever a politician says against another will not be held against him at a date in future. That's a culture. So that's our culture.
All right.
And there's nothing wrong with that culture.
No, there's something terribly wrong. Because the citizen, who are you? Who are these guys who keep on fooling around with you? And they come, they tell you now this is our new formation, and you don't even ask.
Gentlemen, I want to switch gears real quick, okay, as we move along. Frederick Okango, he's tweeted in, hey Frederick, good to hear from you. He says, NASA and JP are political Siamese twins. Kenya must now look for fresh leadership that will reset this country to political factory settings, if you will. So, my quick question is, how about what they call the also-rans? There's Philip Murgo, there's Ekuru Aukot, and there's Abdullahi. What are your thoughts? Real quick, Barrack.
You know, we have to ask the question, what is the worth of the vote, the voter's card in the voter's hands? Is my one vote, for example, carrying the same weight as the vote of these people who have been doing cattle rustling and doing whatever, and who are waiting for somebody to come and tell them that this is where we are going? And do these people you're talking about have a tribal tyranny of numbers? Look at Parliament itself, which has got very educated people, fellows who've gone to some of the best schools in this country, that they are not able to make a conscientious decision in that house. That you'll find Gideon stands up, the Senate, and he makes very brilliant remarks against a certain decision that is about to be made, but when it comes to now making the decision, he votes with the foxes. He runs with the hares, and he hunts with the wolves.
No. In politics in Kenya, you know, it's like the education system or a profession. I mean, Raila, Kalonzo Musyoka, Mudavadi, Ruto, these guys have started from the primary of politics. They graduated to the secondary, they went to the university, and now Uhuru, has got his doctorate. I don't expect, someone from, whether it's Philip Murgo or my good friend Dr. Ekuru Aukot, to jump from the politics of primary and then start at the university. Let these guys start from somewhere. Let them prove themselves at certain stages. This thing is a unilinear graduation, progressive in terms of, I have tried myself here. I found that I'm made of the right kind of stuff. I will go up. But you can't, someone who we have never heard of will say that I want to be the president of Kenya.
You see, the Grand
was there last time.
Dido will try again. Maybe he will get less votes than he did last time, because
he's completely using the wrong paradigms. That's when you look at Uhuru Kenyatta, you look at William Ruto, what kind of metal did they have before they got to where they are? We are talking talking about individuals who have enjoyed sponsored mobility. I'd rather have someone like Abdullahi, someone like Ekuru Aukot, who has materialized from nowhere and claimed his space on the national platform.
Yeah, but that's you, Barrack.
And that's why I'm saying that my one vote, in fact, should be counted as 10,000 votes and not one vote. Okay, because I don't wait to be shepherded by some tribal individual. And when you look at these fellows, Jeff and Grand Mullah, in fact, this whole thing we talk about, which we call democracy, is actually nonsensical. It doesn't exist. What we have is something that we may call segmental dictatorship, segmental autocracy.
I don't agree with
yeah, but I have to explain what segmental autocracy is.
Go ahead.
Yeah, segmental autocracy. That the political class has segmented us into tribal units, and each one of these tribal units has got its own tribal dictator, and this tribal dictator is followed lock, stock and barrel. If you try to digress, you are in trouble. I see.
I think if there is one example that disproves the theory by my good friend here, is the rise of William Ruto. I mean, William, nobody has given him mobility. It doesn't mean that because he comes from a big tribe, automatically you become the leader.
The Grand Mullah was not born when Ruto was made. And yes, you are not.
Ruto is my age mate. We went to the university the same year.
That's why you.
But let me tell you something. I mean, there must be some personal effort put forward by a person so that he can climb the various steps of the ladder. You can't just jump from the streets of Nairobi and say that I want to become president. Of course, people will laugh at you. One or two crazy people will give you votes, but that's the end of the story. You must prove yourself.
You can't call
like
those people
Ruto has proved
crazy.
himself. For example, that graduated this, he tried his politics here, he became an assistant minister, and through his own personal initiative and zest, he went or he reached where he reached. But in other words, it's not every Kalenjin who can become Ruto, or every Kikuyu that can become Uhuru.
But if you are a smart wheeler dealer, you can.
Is that what Ruto is?
I have not said that. But I've said that if you are a smart wheeler dealer, you can make it.
All right, gentlemen, let's switch gears real quick because we might get bogged down in this. Let's come to Nairobi. Kidero Sonko, Kidero Kenneth. Who's it going to be?
Kenneth. Because he's the only person that we can see on the national landscape, Nairobi, so far, who has proven that he has got what it takes to work for the people. Kidero has failed.
Okay, Kenneth has to go through Sonko. Sonko's not going to let Kenneth through?
That would be very foolish on the part of Jubilee. I have seen the posturing. I have seen the guns that were drawn the other day in Dagoretti South, and it is all very foolish.
Why?
And you know why?
And let's not forget why Tito was the candidate last time.
It boils down to the inanity of ethnicity. That it can be very, very, I beg your pardon, I can't find the right word, so allow me just this once to use the word stupid. Why do I use the word stupid? That what we are seeing in Nairobi now are the politics of Kiambu, Muranga, Nyeri, and so on. So that there are people from Kiambu who are saying that Kenneth is from... And when you look at even the formation around him, people like the commanders of this world and the others who are festooning him, that they would be what we used to call in the 1980s MTO, which was Muranga takeover. Okay? And that is wrong. Kenneth should go out and try to appeal to the residents of this city.
No,
I mean, for me, I have no doubt in my view that Kidero will win. And, the perimeters my good friend is using is wrong. It's not about performance that determines whether you are elected or not.
What is it?
It is failure that determines whether you will be elected or not. Of course, Kidero has failed in my view. But there's almost a good chance, almost certainty, that Kidero will be the next governor of Nairobi.
Why do you say that?
Because it's not, I have no doubt. We agree that Kidero has failed completely. He has, corruption has become the norm in City Hall. He has achieved nothing. But it's not that will determine whether he will be elected or not.
Is it this thing?
Of course it is that.
It's the Stockholm syndrome.
Not only that. It is corruption. It's money, which I think he has a lot. It is tribe, which I think he has the right combination if NASA, forms. So whether this other has a manual on how to run, and the manual looks attractive. It's not that.
Barrack, let me ask you this question. Let me come back. Grandmother, tell me about Sonko. You forget about the power that Sonko has, the crowds that he pulls.
Sonko is the noise of politics.
And he has die-hard supporters. And he got the most votes last time, remember? 800,000
plus. It wouldn't surprise me because we do mad things in this town. in this country, sometimes you start imagining that we could be the madness headquarters of the world. It wouldn't surprise me that we did such a thing. But to put the record right, and there's evidence that Dr. Evans Kidero enjoyed votes from across the ethnic diversity.
Yeah, because they
country.
preferred him to Waitito last night.
And I do hope that this time round the same could happen, and that Peter Kenneth would be the right person.
No. I think between if it is between Peter Kenneth and Kidero will win. There's no doubt about that, because the various facts that favors a candidate.
What if it's Kidero and Sonko?
The excitement Sonko generated is dead.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Sonko now will be held to a more sophisticated standard, which he will not
measure up to.
What about the team he's with? What he says, it's Sonko and Sakaja, and that combination.
It is a tired team of jokers. I don't think it's going anywhere. This competition is going to be between Peter Kenneth and Evans Kidero. And if the residents of the city of Nairobi care about their city, if they would be people who care about service, then they would be voting for Peter Kenneth. However, if there are those other considerations which the Grand Mullah is talking about, then it should not surprise me to see Nairobians voting with their feet.
Gentlemen, county number 001, Joho, is he unbeatable? Could Shakbal or Hassan Omar unseat him, or does he have a solid hold on Mombasa County?
I mean, let me disclose my interest in 001. I mean, Joho is my client. Hassan Omar is a good friend of mine, and his wife works in our law firm. But I think the contest really, I still can be objective, I think, once I disclose those two. I think the contest is basically between Joho and Hassan. And Shabal, in my view, has no chance whether Jubilee gives him direct nomination or not. And because I think Joho has a solid base. I mean, Joho has done very well.
Can he lose?
There's chance, but maybe 5, 10, 15% chance.
Barrack?
I think Mombasa is firmly in Joho's grip. And Omar Hassan, who is my friend, if he would listen to wisdom, he would go back to the Senate and wait for 2022. He's a young man. He can then go for the gubernatorial position. It will be there, and he would stand a very good chance. But he risks consigning himself into political exile or a sabbatical for the next 5 years.
Graham, Jubilee looked like it really went hard against Joho in the coast. Did that backfire, do you think? Do you think that's why he's so popular, or do they genuinely love this man?
No, I mean, Jubilee miscalculated big time. I mean, of course, when they attacked Joho, I mean, the Joho attack was sustained. It was not just one. It was not just once or twice. It was sustained from the day Uhuru became president. And I think Joho, to his credit, stood up. And Kenyans like the underdog standing up to David versus Goliath. So I mean, every time he stands up to Uhuru, and he stood up very well, every time he retorts back a proper reply, his stock really skyrocketed. And also, I mean, to be fair, I think the people of the coast, whether you give them title leaders or not, ideologically are opposed to Jubilee. I mean, you can't change that. Jubilee tried a lot. Ruto is trying a lot in Kilifi and Kwale. In my view, the coast people are ideological, on points of principle, opposed to Jubilee. And I think that's something difficult to change. And last time Jubilee got 18% of the vote. This time I think 10-15%. Yes.
Barrack, let's go out west. Kakamega County. The bullfighter versus...
Not the chance of the snowball in hell.
The bullfighter?
Oparanya is going to beat him clean. And you can put that in your diary.
Take it to the bank?
Cash it. Oparanya is going to beat him hands down. And he knows that. So that all this time when he's posturing, saying he wants to become governor, he's also guarding that position of Senate very carefully. Just putting it on the back burner.
Just in case.
Not just in case. Because he's not a stupid man. Eh? He's a qualified doctor. I don't know whether he's on strike just now, but he's a senior doctor.
Yes.
He's gone to good schools. He understands things. He understands politics. He's upping his stakes. Because if he makes the mistake of running against Oparanya, he's going to be beaten clean. Eh?
Are you saying Oparanya is that popular?
And I've just come from Kakamega this morning.
Yeah.
Having spent a number of days in the village and riding around on my bike, running my errands in the village.
In Emanyuria?
And the broad Emanyuria all the way to Ikolomani, where he comes from. Correct. Where they have struck gold.
Yes.
And it's very clear that if the bullfighter takes this bullfight of his to Oparanya, he's going to lose, and he's going to be on sabbatical for 5 years.
Enough of that. You want to touch that?
No, of course I'll defer to him in terms of his expertise.
Area of expertise.
But I think it's only a brave man like him really who will dismiss the bullfighter
himself
in the words and terms he used.
Yeah.
Because I mean, he's one hell of a politician. He's a grassroots mobilizer. He's an orator. I mean, he's a man of the people. He's a man who has real touch with, the grassroots. So we have heard him. Let's wait.
You know, when you go to Kakamega, to West Kenya generally, if you want to know that you have moved from Siaya to Kakamega, you just look at the roads. Okay? You look at the schools. They'll tell you there's something happening here. And the people of Kakamega are very appreciative of what Oparanya has been doing.
Yeah.
He has got his own flaws, his own foibles, like everybody else. But he's going to win this seat.
Gentlemen, one more
with a landslide.
With a landslide. Okay, before we wind up real quick, let's go to Kirinyaga. Comment quick on Kirinyaga. Waiguru versus Martha Karua. Grand Mullah.
Again, I mean, the good lady is my client, but I mean, there's also a classmate of mine who's...
Is there anyone who's not your client?
There's also a classmate of mine who's running there. I mean, someone we have been in school, in Nairobi school, called Eliot Bengige.
Yes.
But from what I hear, and from very reliable source, is that the lady is on solid ground.
Which lady?
Anne.
Your client?
Yes. There's a good chance, as my learned friend, as my friend says here,
yes,
that she will win.
I'm still learning.
And that's why so many people are fighting her, so many people, whether it's in parliament, whether it is this, I mean, give the lady chance.
Grand Mullah.
Let her fight her fight.
Grand Mullah.
Yes. Go on, Barrack.
Grand Mullah, you have told us she's your client. We respect
but I'm
that.
Objective still.
We respect that very much. I expect that objectivity to the extent that it can be carried to. But the issue is this, that the good lady is a systems candidate. And that the system loves her.
That much I don't know.
That much you are not supposed to know. Yeah, you are not expected to know. The system loves her. You have seen that the NYS public accounts report is having problems in parliament. People are almost tearing each other literally because of her, and it goes back to the same inanity of ethnicity, and she's a systems person, and the system is just going to tell, as it has already told the people of Kirinyaga, that this is the one we want, and so she's coming, and you can make all the noise that you want about NYS and about...
I think I differ with my learned friend. If there's a systems person, you could see from the reaction how the deputy president and the president reacted when they visited Kirinyaga, whom they had.
The deputy president is not the system. He's a man under siege himself from the system. He's just a pretender.
How is he under siege, Barrack?
Are you the only visitor in Jerusalem who doesn't know that the deputy president is under siege?
No.
Let's move along. Narok. Let's not leave Narok out. that relationship, you talk about the deputy president, his relationship with Tunai, it's causing a lot of fununu, if you will.
Yes, but Narok is a different ball game, because I think even the system does not have a foothold in Narok, and therefore you are seeing the Ntutus are going to Chama Cha Mashinani, and the Grand Mullah here was dismissing the Chama Cha Mashinani, and I'm telling him that Chama Cha Mashinani, you will be telling another story very soon.
No, Chama Cha Mashinani, I agree with you. It may be strong in certain localities and weak in others. I mean, it may be strong in Narok,
which is in the Rift Valley.
Yes, but because of certain facts, you know, which you have alluded to previously. I mean, the deputy president may be a strong character politically, but when he's strong character, I mean, he ruffles his feathers, and some of the feathers he has ruffled is in Narok. And that's why there's that backlash.
Okay, gentlemen, let's wrap this up. I'm going to ask you for closing thoughts, and then I'll read a couple of tweets, and then we'll call it a night. How's that? Barrack, you're first. Closing thoughts.